go into the charts. I'll show you. Actually, you know what I might do is change the background here. Okay, it's going to ask me if I want to update it, whatever. If you don't have Forex Tester, I can give you a link here where you can get it at a discount, and they will send me a payment too. Like in case if this is the first time that if you've never heard of Forex Tester or whatever, congratulations, your trading is about to change. It's a great way to build your confidence and figure out whether or not a system works, basically. So you can go to fxjake.com/tester to get it. And you know what I'm going to do? Because I know this background might be a little bit difficult to see. I like it, but I'm going to change it for the webinar here so that it's slightly different. And I really don't like the grid. Don't like the grid. And then I'll go with a darker, there we go. Okay, there's aha. That might not work either. let me do this too so you can see the candles. This was set up for a completely different background. Okay, cool. All right. So if you don't have Forex Tester, there it is. Highly recommended if you take discretionary trades like most of us traders do. Like, in other words, you look at the chart and you say, yep, that's a trade, or no, that's not a trade. You're not letting the computer do the testing or the trading for you. Then you shouldn't let the computer do the testing for you either. I think you should do some sort of simulator like Forex Tester. It's not the only one out there. So how do we read the markets? What does this mean? Well, first of all, like I was, so when I was in high school, I ran track, right? And one of the things, one of the like defining moments for me was like understanding that, when you see somebody as an athlete, sometimes you can look at somebody and you kind of think that they are or they are not a very good athlete, and that will completely blow away your, like, you really have to see it. You have to keep an open mind, basically. And this has really stuck with me. And the thing that drove this point home for me was when we were in school, when I was in track, when I was younger, I did the shot put and the discus. They called us the fat guys, right? Because we would just sit around, lift weights, and go and throw the discus at our track practices, and that's it. We didn't do many sprints. Then later on, I moved to sprints because I wasn't big enough for the discus and the shot put guys. But when I was with the discus and the shot put guys, at the end of the track meet, they would have this thing called the Fat Man Relay. It was kind of a big joke. It was the end of the track meet, and all of the teams that were at the meet, they would put their discus and shot put people as relay participants in a 4x100. So it's one lap around the track and there's 4 people. And so they put me at the anchor because I figured out I was the 4th leg. I was the fastest one. And so I'll never forget this. There was a guy who was a really good shot putter, big, huge guy, like 300 pounds plus, right? And he was staying there waiting for the baton as I was on the 4th leg. And I remember thinking, there's no way this guy's going to beat me. He's so big. There's no way he can be that fast. And I saw that his team had the lead as they were coming around the corner. And we were like in 3rd place as they gave me the baton. Thought, no problem. I'll catch up to this guy, right? Not an issue at all. So I'm like running, and I realize as I get the baton, I figure I'm just going to catch up to him straight away. I'll beat him. We'll win the race. Yay, the fat men win, right? And I'm running, and as I'm trying to gain on him, I realize he's actually peeling away from me. And I'm seeing this guy, and he's jiggling with every pound on the track. He's like, because his body is really, jelly-like, and his calves were really big. And I remember looking at those calves going, I can't believe those calves are propelling him that far. And he beat me, and I couldn't catch up to him in the end. I tried, but I couldn't catch him. And that was like a big eye opener for me that, just because this guy looks like a fat man and is a great discus thrower and a shot put thrower and all that, doesn't mean he doesn't have fast twitch muscles. And I think he actually got a scholarship to play offensive lineman at, UCLA or USC or one of the schools down in Los Angeles. But anyway, it was great. It was a great lesson for me to keep your mind open. You never know. You can't judge something by its cover. And the reason why I bring up that story is because that's what we do every day. Okay. As traders, what we do every day is we actually look at the charts and we say, this is basically the way I see it. This is what I think is going to happen, but that may not actually be what happens, right? That may not actually be something that is reality. So let's talk about how, but we always have to fit things into boxes when we're in life. We see something, you think, oh, that's a danger, or that's okay, or that's something I need to pay attention to, or that's something I can ignore. Like, we're always fitting things in boxes. They're called heuristics in psychology. These are mental shortcuts. And so as a trader, we do the same thing when we look at the charts. We look at the charts and we have this mental shortcut. We say, oh, I've seen that before. That is blank. That's a bullish market or a ranging market or a bearish market or whatever it is. So what I want to do here is share with you how I do this and how, when I look at the charts, how I view, okay, this is the kind of market that this is, all right? And what do I do to make sure that I'm right? And if I'm wrong, what do I do? So let me share with you in Forex Tester what you can do to verify whether or not your pattern works. Now, I'll give you a big hint here. A lot of it's going to have to do with whether or not you are using an aggressive exit strategy or sort of somewhat easy to achieve. Because your exit strategy, your exit rules will determine your win rate. And I know that sounds crazy, especially if you started trading, but if you've looked at these data, you know that this is true. Like, it's very true that, like, again, keeping an open mind. When I first started trading, I thought if I get the right entry, everything is gravy, right? Turns out that's not so much. It's really about keeping the right risk rules in place to achieve my goals and making sure that my exit strategy also contributes to my goals as a trader. And this is something, if this kind of stuff interests you, you may be interested in the small accounts, big profits class that we are starting the beginning in just a couple of days, actually. And you can go there, fxjake.com/big. Small accounts, big profits. We are going to make 100 grand in 300 trades, and I'll show you how to do it with a very small account. And it all basically comes down to 99,000. Sorry, we're starting with 1,000, we're going to 100,000 over 300 trades. We'll show you how to do it. We'll show you the risk algorithms, all that, if you're interested in this. So let's talk about these sorts of patterns that I use as a trader, and you may want to test in Forex Tester too. So where are we at right here? So this is, so I just want to peel back. This is the euro yen, right? And this is an 8-hour chart. In Forex Tester, you can actually create your own time frames here. I really like the 8-hour, the 12-hour, the 2-day, the daily. Starting to test the 6-hour. I think that may also work all right. But you can test whatever you want. So basically what I'm looking at here is potentially this looks like a pretty bullish chart, right? I know it's been going down, but it looks like maybe what we're looking at here is a bullish market. At this stage, I would say we're more in a consolidated market. So I wouldn't really be interested in trading this market until it were to get out of this box, right? So as a trader, I have to decide when I look at, as a discretionary trader, when I look at the markets, I have to say the market is ranging, or I don't know where it's going to go. It's just kind of going up and down, or it's going up strong or down strong. That's really all I need to decide. You can tack on volatility. I can say it's going up with a lot of volatility, or it's going down with a lot of volatility, or it's range bound with a lot of volatility. Or I could say it's going up with little volatility, going down with little volatility, or it's range bound with little volatility. So let's just see here what happens if the market's actually going to break out. Right. Okay, so this is still range bound. What I'm looking for here is a market that's going to break out and actually go somewhere. And when it does, see, now we could be in a downtrend here. If I back it up, you can see from this peak here, we've fallen down. We've made a nice little consolidation, then we've fallen down, consolidation, fallen down, consolidation. This could actually be a downtrend. And in fact, I am going to go ahead and put a sell stop right here. I'm not going to mess with the lot size. I'm just going to keep my lot size at 1. Normally, of course, I would make sure that it makes sense, that I'm risking the right amount. And let's see if we break below this box. If we do, I want to short it. We do, and then it got stopped out. So we'll try again. All right, so I would no longer say that this is a bearish market. However, it is true here that this could be a what I call like a potential drop trade. What I mean by that with a drop trade is the market falls and then it makes these little retracement moves, and you kind of wait for the market to break beyond that retracement move. And when it does that, when it breaks beyond that little trend line retracement, like this candle did right here, you short it. So I would be pretty interested in a short here. Let's just see what happens next. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put a sell order down here. Below this candle right here, okay? If it gets down there below that candle, I'll sell, and I'll put my stop loss up here above this high. Okay, so let's see here if the market is going to trigger me. It does, so I'm in. Great. Okay, now, are we going to go lower? Okay, now we're going lower. Great. So now that I'm in this trade, I might like move my stop loss to break even, for example, or slightly above break even like that, so that my risk is now gone. But now what I'm looking for is, if I'm really truly in a downtrend, I should either see a box of consolidation, like where the market basically goes nowhere. And that, by the way, that all alternating candles is kind of the key there. An up candle, a down candle, you'll often see that when we are in a consolidation. Or I'm going to get another one of these little trendy drop things, right? And if I see one of those, I'll take that sell too, right? So that's what we're going to do next. I mean, I don't have one yet, but if I were to get one, that's what I would look for here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a box here. I could potentially put a sell order right here below the box. It's not very volatile at all. Put my stop loss up here, and let's see if we're going to go lower here or not. Okay, we're not. We've gone to where the stop loss would have been. So you know what I'm going to, so see how it went to the stop level before it entered my trade. So what I'm actually going to do here is I am going to delete my order, because I don't like taking a trade if the market goes to my stop loss before it goes to my delete pending order. Yeah. Before it goes to my entry price, right? So we're going to do this. And what I think we can do here, actually, what I think we can do here is we could probably actually put a little trend line here and go with a potentially another drop trade if this plays out as I think it may. Okay, so let's go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sell stop down here. This is not a convincing break of that trend line at all, but I'm still going to take the trade, and I'm just going to put my stop loss up above the swing high here, and I'm going to just see if we fall a bit. I could sell it because technically it's broken the trend line, but it's not a very convincing break, so I'm going to hope that it goes. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. So now we've gone down here, right? And I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. I know sometimes on these webinars it's difficult to see. So we're going to go lower here. Hopefully, yes. All right, so now I will now move the stop loss from my first trade to here, and the stop loss from my second trade to there. So we've basically locked in this much profit essentially on the trade, right? Okay. So we've come up here. Is this a reason to buy? For me, the answer would be no. It's not a reason to buy. I would not want to buy right now. But in the case that this is a box here, I'll put my sell stop order here, and I'll put another stop loss up here, just in case what we're looking at here is another consolidation, which it could be. Yes, it is. Lucky, because that just barely triggered my trade. Okay, so now what am I going to do? So now what I'm going to do is we're going to move the stop loss on the second trade to where we were on the first one. And actually, the first trade, so we basically got all the stops right up here where the original trade is. Now, the original trade, or the third trade could be a loss, right? If the third trade is a loss, then I lose and that's it. But now we actually have the opportunity to move all of these down here. So you see what this is called? This is called the ladder stop. We're just allowing the market to go because we've lucked into a trend here, and it doesn't always work this way, believe me. We're in a position where we can lock in some of this profit. So now I'm just going to put it. And one of the things that I've learned from working with traders around the world, we tend to put our stops too close in the beginning and too far at the end of the trade. So we need to get tighter with our stops as the trade progresses, not looser with our stops. I am just going to put this here. Now, hopefully we'll get another retracement move higher, and then we can break this trend line and go and short it again, right? Well, let's see. We don't really have a trend line yet, but let's see if we get one. Okay, so now what I can do is I can sell it right here. So I'll put a sell stop right here, right there, and I put my stop loss up here. Okay, and see if we break, if that break, yeah, that's gone, that goes good. And I'm going to move the rest of my other positions down here too. So again, this fourth position still has risk on the table. If it gets stopped out, then I lose. But so far we're all right. Oh, cool. Okay. So I'm going to move. Okay, what I want to do is talk about what the market's doing now, because it's doing some interesting things. Notice that when it was doing the trend over here, you had a brief little retracement, then a fell, a brief retracement, then a fell, flat, fell, retracement, fell. But look, it didn't take out the previous low over here. That's a huge clue. Alert, alert, like, you know what I mean? And this retracement right here was actually taken out by this retracement. So we have a higher high here and a higher low. Now, I know we eventually made a lower low, but that was after we made a higher high and a higher low. So this, at the very least, is probably going into consolidation, or it could be reversing. Unlikely. It's more likely going into consolidation. But I'm still willing to take, like, if this trend could still go, and I'm still willing to take a short here if it's warranted. But you can see I've been okay. See, now I would say no way, right? No way would I take a trade here. In fact, this is a very bullish pattern, but I'm not going to assume that we're in a bullish trend just yet. I would rather the market show me, you know, something a little bit stronger. Like, so if this is really a bullish trend, then what I would want to see, for example, is a breach of this downward trend line. I know it's pretty sharp here on the angle, but basically this should be a bullish flag. If this is a bullish trend, and it kind of looks like it, then what should happen here is this should go down and then zoom through this trend line. If it zooms through the trend line, then I'm fine. Okay, so I'll take a trade. So I'll take a trade right here and I'll buy, and we'll roll the dice and see what happens. Okay, place or, oh. Whoops, I did the wrong, stop loss should be down there. Okay, there we go. So you got 116 pips of risk. On the Euro Yen 8-hour chart, that's not a lot at all. Okay. So I'm in, and we've gone sideways, right? Now, the question is, can I move to break even? And I would say yes. The answer is, I tend to move to break even early. I don't really mind having trades that are break even trades. To me, they're just like trades that never happened, essentially. So, okay. So, all right, so now what I'm going to do is, assuming this is going to be a flat box retracement or just rest, the market's resting, I'm going to put a buy stop up here, and I'm going to put a stop loss down here. And let's just see if I'm right, if this is consolidation here or not, because it may not. Okay, maybe it's not. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. So I'll take this out, right? It's already gone pretty hard, but I'll draw a trend line on this anyway. So let me take out, delete that order. But what I will do is I'll put a trend line here like this and say, look, can we break that and go higher? If we can break it, then I'm willing to go long. But yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. This is pretty good because I put my buy stop up there. My stop loss is down here. And we'll go, no. Okay, so stopped out at break even here. Okay, let's do another. So that first trade was stopped out at break even. Remember, all I'm really doing here is when the markets give me more candles, that's more information. So now I'm like, okay, maybe the trend line looks like this. You know what I mean? And actually, I would be willing to buy, like, well, I should eliminate that order, but if it, yeah, okay. So if it breaks higher, I'll take it. Let's see if it's going to, no. Still falling. Okay, I'm going to delete it because it's not looking good. So the way that I would see this is the market's retracing really hard now, and I wouldn't necessarily call this an uptrend anymore. It would have to like seriously break this trend line and give me something really, really good for me to get excited about it. So I'll put a buy stop well above that little wiki candle right there, and I'll put my stop loss all the way down here. And if it accelerates through now and takes out that, then I'll do it. But otherwise, well, just barely clicked into my buy. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, now it's looking good. And I might even put a buy stop here above here, right here, and my stop loss down here. Let's see if that triggers. Yep, good. Okay, so I'm going to start reducing my risk now. I'm going to move my first trade to a little bit of profit, right? My second trade, I'm just going to keep the stop where it is and see how that goes. I can now, if I want, I could now draw a trend line here. I'll zoom in for you guys. I don't want you to miss out on this. It's hard to see, I know. So I'll zoom in for you so you can see. But basically, I've got two trades on, and this third one, well, potentially a third one, if it does the right thing. Do the right thing. Okay. That's a trendy kangaroo tail. That's also in and of itself, that's a signal. But I'm going to stick to the trend line. Okay, cool. All right, so we are above the trend line here, which is excelente. Or just on it. Let's see if we get another. Okay, there we go. I'm going to buy right here. I'll put a buy stop just above this candle right here, like that. And my stop loss goes down here, like that. Okay, so now what's going to happen? Aha, not so good. Now, sometimes it'll come back and bounce off the trend line. That's pretty common. So hopefully that's what's going on here. We'll see. Usually, if that's the case, it should bounce pretty hard off this trend line right there. And it did not. Okay, so that trade was stopped out then. That third trade was stopped out. But it does look like it's bounced. I'm going to actually buy again if it takes out that high. Because that's actually a really, look at the line chart, you'll see it. It breaks through the trend line, comes back down and bounces off of it. That's a very common move. So let's see if we pull away, and we are. Yes. Excelente. Okay, so now they're all looking good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my stops all the way up here. So we've got several on now. And what's going to happen? Okay, so this is bearish. It's not a bearish kangaroo tail necessarily unless it's on a zone. I'm not convinced that it looks like it is potentially. So this is not very good to see this. It's a pseudo kangaroo tail because the open and the close are not inside the previous candle's range. However, let's just see what happens. See, that's still bullish now. That's actually still quite bullish. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm in 3 positions. They're in pretty good profit. I'm going to skedaddle these suckers up to the lows up here. So I've locked in some of my profit. And if this is a consolidation box, I'm going to go ahead and buy above the high there and put my stop loss down there below the low. And let's see if we can get in another one of these, assuming, of course, that we're still in an uptrend, which it looks like we may be. And I'll move these stops up here again. Again, just locking in more profit. Now, if this pulls back, I might get another opportunity to move to break even. Or sorry, to not to move to break even, to take another trade. Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. This is great. I think I'm going to trail it below this candle here. This is the old 3-bar exit. No sign of retracements here. And now I'm just going to move it below this candle right here, which is probably going to get stopped out, I'd say. And there we are. Yeah. So there you have it. So that's basically how I like to trade trends, essentially. It's not too crazy. You can see it's not 100%, obviously. If you get into some good trends, it can be good. If you get into some, false starts, which is actually more common, it can be not so good, not so much fun. Wandering Jazz, I noticed that just before the market breaks its consolidation, it continues a major trend. The market shoots one way strongly, and then it continues a trend. Yeah, are you talking about the fake out candle? Yeah, yes, sir. That's very, very common, actually. It's super common. So this is something that I learned from the trader. There's a guy named Martin Pring. He wrote a book called Pring on Price Action. And he was talking about this idea where at the end of a retracement, you'll often see a really strong, it's like a bear trap or a bull trap. This is super common. Let's see if we can find one here so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's say that this market is actually going up, going down because it fell here and then it retraced. If it's actually going down here, then what you'll often see is like a bullish move right before it goes down. It's almost always one of the last candles too. Actually, this is not even a down market; it's an up market. But here's a good example. Actually, here's good example of this up market. So this candle right here is kind of this is like, if you just see this, you might be thinking on the far right edge of the chart, you're like, oh, maybe this is over, right? This is something not looking so good. Maybe my my uptrend is over. Look at this big bearish candle here. I want to short it. And so, yeah, so you're right. That's a very, very common thing. At the end of a retracement, you'll often see a candle that goes kind of, it's trying to suck you into a losing trade. One of the things that I will say, though, if you haven't seen this, you should definitely check this out. What you want to do, if you're in a trend, or what I found to be extremely useful, is to use the open position ratios. Have you guys seen this? It's really useful stuff. So here it is. For example, this is the pound New Zealand. So what it's telling you is that 55% of the market is short the pound New Zealand. That doesn't really tell us much. But what if we look at, for example, the USD Swissy? Okay, so the USD Swissy, I can tell you right now, a lot of traders are shorting it. 71% of our retail buddies are shorting it. What that, and because they're always looking, they always think that they found the end of the, like, that's it, the trend is over. They're always trying to find the turning points in the market. So they're always going against strong trends. So if a lot of retail traders are on one side, I want to be on the other. And this is, to me, a great indication that the Swissy is in a very strong trend right now. So I would only want to buy. So my rule of thumb is, if 70% plus of the retail traders are all in on one direction in the market, then what I'm looking to do is go in the other direction and trade the trend that way. So all of those things that I just shared with you, all of those trend trading strategies, like the drop trade, the reverse drop trade, the Darvis box, that box thing that's called a Darvis box, all that stuff, I bring out those tools and I use those tools only when I'm presented with a market like the Swissy here, where we have 70%. I use 80+% on the metals because most people, and CFDs, if you're going to trade CFDs or metals, I would use 80% as a barrier, but for regular Forex, 70% is where I say, okay, we're in a trend now. And so that's basically how that's the best trend indicator I've ever been able to find. And when it's retracing, that number will come down. This was actually at 75% earlier in the week. You would have seen this at 75%. So it's a really, really useful tool. So thanks for spending time here, guys. I don't want to take up all of your time. I know for some of you it's late. I wish you happy trading. If you want to join us on the Small Accounts, Big Profits course, you may, of course, and that's at fxjake.com/big. And that's open still now for a few more days. And I'll show you my trades as we take a small account and ramp it up using risk management rules, trading with the trend, essentially trying and understanding what our goals are. A lot of times when we go into trading, we just think, oh, I just want to make money. That's not how we're going to approach this. This trading account, or actually there's several trading accounts, and you'll see why in the course. But the reason why we're doing this is we have goals. We say we want to achieve this amount of money, but we're willing to put up with this amount of pain, right? I mean, it's all a balance, right? It's always risk and reward. And so that's how we're approaching this, just as you would any trading account. So it's going to be good fun. I wish you happy trading, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.